Intertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Get yourself some communications counsel before you write something stupid like this and have the CEO say it. Reaccommodate these customers. What the CEO should have said was this. I watched in horror as I saw my company do this. I was absolutely ashamed and embarrassed and horrified that this could be an organization that I am supposed to quote unquote lead. And then I would say, some people in Chicago clearly acted unilaterally, and those people are going to be on the receiving end of my foot by the time I hit send on this. Those people are fired with a capital every single freaking letter. That's a leader.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, and a man who won't give up his seat because he really needs to get home and see some patients tomorrow. It's really, really important. And with me in the booth down in La Jolla, California, sunny and beautiful always, La Jolla, California, is our resident mixer today, Cedric the Entertainer's second cousin, Cedric the Mixer. What's up, Cedric?
Nothing much. How you doing, Scott?
Cedric the Engineer. You could have a whole thing going on. You'd be like, I'm Cedric the Entertainer's third cousin, twice removed.
It's actually funny because on your profile here, it's saved as Scott the Entertainer. So really, it feels like there's a whole family here that I'm missing out on.
That's right, exactly. I like to tune in and use different weird names. Paul and I, I like to keep Paul on his toes when he's doing the show. So you never know what I'm going to come in as. Well, we're going to have some fun today, Cedric. It's going to be a good time. How are things going in La Jolla today?
Typical weather. It's looking great. Can't complain. Can't complain at all. Yep.
No doubt, man. I tell you, La Jolla is gorgeous. Even if everybody else has crappy weather, La Jolla is just always so nice.
Oh, yeah. It's got me spoiled. Like, if it's 74, I'm like, a little too hot. If it's 71, I can start feeling the cold. It's got me thin-skinned over here.
That's right. Well, it does happen. I'm originally from Missouri, and just such a wuss now. Like, it gets, grew up in the ice and snow and cold and everything of Missouri, and now if it gets like below, if it gets like 50, I'm like, ooh, my God, it's an Arctic storm. We get spoiled out here in good old Camelot, known as California.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you folks out there in radio land, podcasting land, have any questions for me, you can always catch me, email me at scott@robertsoncom2ms.com. I'll answer anything right on the show, and you can find my posts, client news clips, and other tidbits always at the Robertson.com Facebook page or on Twitter at Robertson.com, again, 2Ms, imagine that for communications. Just reach out and connect. You'll be entertained, and I can give you some fun, tips and tricks, and a lot of the stuff that I find for the winning and losing segment of the show. I typically post there first, so you can kind of get a indication as to what I'm looking at this week too, which is kind of fun. This episode, which is episode 49, I've entitled "Spin Sucks." And it's going to be all about public relations. And as you might be aware, I was inspired to do this show this week because of United Airlines, and not just for the stupidity of the crisis that they've gone through. Their second crisis, by the way, this month, which on the old crisis meter, that's a lot. If you step in it nationally twice. In the same month. That usually doesn't happen. So it's kind of interesting, to see that happening. But one of the things that I wanted to dig into was when people were asking me my thoughts on the situation, they kept using the words spin. Scott, what would your spin be on this? How would you spin this? How would you spin blah, 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 spin. And I just got to tell you, I think one of the worst words in the history of my profession of public relations is spin. it is not a compliment. It means that people that are saying that to you think that you lie in some capacity for a living. Good PR people hate the word spin. We hate it, but we hate the practice of it more because it's real. There are people in the profession who lean into it. I've seen license plates of people that say, spin master and spin this and spin that. Spin basically means that you're full of crap and you're not afraid of admitting it in front of anyone. And anybody who knows me, if you listen to my show, you know I'm about the least full of crap person you're ever going to meet in your life. I don't care who it is. The truth is coming, baby. I lack that part of my brain where I, care about, it's more important to me to give counsel to people than it is to, think through, whether or not I should necessarily say it. It's gotten me in a lot of trouble, to be honest, but I sleep great at night. Got to tell you, I don't pull punches when it comes to public relations. And I'm going to talk to you about the word spin a bit and try to, hopefully get you having a better understanding of the word and when you're going to use it and when you wouldn't. Unfortunately, like NFL quarterbacks, there's a lot more bad PR people out there than there are good ones out there. In this episode, we're going to dig into spin. I'm going to show you why, if you are in public relations or in marketing communications, you should never do it. And also, we're going to hit who's winning and losing in the very non-spinning, no-spin zone this week. So hopefully you can handle the truth, because the whole truth and nothing but the truth, because that's what's coming. As I do in every segment one, I like it to be a little bit more educational and a little bit more, I like to make sure we're working on a common, dictionary of terms. So we're going to talk about the evolution of spin. So let's get into it. You already know my bias has been declared. You know that I'm going to come out on the negative side of spin. I really don't like the word. I really don't like the fact that it's used to describe my profession in any way or shape or form, but that is the reality. So in public relations and politics, spin is a form of propaganda, which is achieved through providing a biased interpretation of an event or campaigning to persuade public opinion in favor or against some organization or public figure. While traditional public relations and advertising may also rely on altering the presentation of the facts, spin often implies the use of disingenuous, deceptive, and highly manipulative tactics. It's typically applied to events or situations which are deemed to be unfavorable or potentially harmful to the popularity of the person, brand, or product. So that's fine. And by the way, that was from your friend and mine, Wikipedia. I think it's a pretty good definition of spin. By the way, before they even get into spin, they say Spin Doctor redirects here. For the rock band, see Spin Doctors. So it's kind of funny that they have to say that this is not a description of the 90s rock band who did two Princes, Spin Doctors, but this is actually something in the public relations profession that you're discussing. It's also, by the way, not Spin Magazine, which was a reasonably popular magazine founded by Bob Guccione Jr., which is now a webzine. They still cover the recording industry over at Spin. But anyway, so now we're talking about the right spin. Let's talk about why it's wrong, I guess. So the article goes on to say a standard tactic used in spinning, in quotes, is to reframe, reposition, or otherwise modify the perception of an issue or event to reduce any negative impact it might have on public opinion. And the example they give is, for example, a company whose top-selling product is found to have a significant safety problem may, quote-unquote, reframe the issue by criticizing the safety of its main competitor's product, or indeed highlighting the risk associated with the entire product category. This might be done using a catchy slogan or soundbite that can help persuade the public of a company's biased point of view. They say it takes training and experience to spin an issue, and it's a service provided by paid media advisors and media consultants. Yeah, that is true. That is accurate. But they shouldn't. They actually shouldn't. And I'm gonna explain why. First of all, reframing an issue. Everybody reframes an issue. we've talked many, many times that our eyes don't see, they project, right? You can't be one of those people that believes in one truth that we all see. If you are one of those people that thinks that we all see the world the same way, I'm going to invite you to the website that I use to disprove that theory, which is called RottenTomatoes.com. The movie is unchanged across the United States of America in many, many theaters, yet many, many different people see the exact same movie in a completely different manner. How is that possible? Because our eyes project. They do not see. We do not see the same thing. We all see different things. It's important that you know that, because they brought in the definition of spin, they brought in the idea of reframing. Reframing is something that everyone does. Okay? That is not a tactic to, in public relations. That's a thing that is inherent in human biology, first of all. Some public relations people are called on to reframe an issue, or certainly I look at reframing an issue differently than spin. Spin is where you set out to deceive people. Spin is where you set out specifically to do something in favor of your company that is going to deceive the public. Spin is prohibited by the Public Relations Society of America's 13-prong code of ethics. If you have your professional accreditation in public relations, and you're talking to somebody right now who does, then you're very familiar with the code of ethics of PRSA. And it says very specifically that you should not do anything that is outside of the public trust. The public trust, which means you shouldn't lie, which means you should not deliberately try to deceive, and which means that we are prohibited as practitioners from doing this. Very, very important, as it's going to become as apparent later, why it's very, very important. It's important that public relations has a code of ethics, by the way. It's very, very, very important, because the rules can get blurry at times. And I've used that code of ethics before and read it. And just like the Supreme Court or any kind of legal body, you have to read the rules, and then you have to make a determination, as to kind of whether you're inside or outside of the rules. That's true in any profession, by the way. But that code of ethics is extremely useful. If you are a PR practitioner and you're not a member of Public Relations Society of America and you haven't seen the code of ethics, you should see it. You should absolutely know it. You should see it. I encourage you to get your professional accreditation. When you get your accreditation, which less than 5% of our practitioners have, which makes me want to weep right here into the microphone, but that's true. But, when you're dealing with an accredited public relations professional, you are talking to somebody who has been able to pass a very significant test that proves that they understand the code of ethics and a lot of other things. But if you're a practitioner that maybe you're new to the field or that kind of thing, go to prsa.org, check out the code of ethics. It's really, really important that you know it. It's a really useful tool for you when people ask you to do stuff that may be inside or may be outside. It's important at this point in the talk to talk about Edward Bernays, who has been called the father of public relations. He's certainly considered to be that. Now, there's a guy named Larry Tye who wrote a book called The Father of Spin, the Edward L. Bernays and the Birth of Public Relations. Now, Bernays is the father of public relations. Public relations sort of was founded in the dirt, is a good way to think of it. Bernays helped tobacco and alcohol companies use some techniques to make certain behaviors more socially acceptable in the 20th century in the United States. And Bernays was pretty proud of that work. Would he, like I said, when the founder of your profession, is known for doing that kind of work, which was sort of shady work, to be quite honest, it's difficult to know, where you're going to go from there. And also another celebrated public relations person in the history of PR is P.T. Barnum, who, of course, founded the Barnum and Bailey, Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, which is where you insert your joke that says, "Oh, and you thought your work was a circus." Well, there you go. Anyway, look up P.T. Barnum if you're interested, by the way. Obviously, kind of is kind of celebrated as being one of the earliest practitioners of public relations in some ways, and an expert at propaganda, of course, and all those kind of things. So I give you all this background to let you know that PR was kind of started in the dirt. Some of us kind of rose up, and the profession rose above that. In its PR is not that old, by the way. About 1930s is where you're going to track it back to. So I give you all this background so that we can finally talk about what happened this week with United Airlines, and I'm going to cover it extensively in winning and losing as well. But United Airlines, had a situation where they had to forcibly removed a passenger after they had an oversold situation. And the story by now. It's been everywhere. There's no way you could have avoided it unless you just got back from like a trip to a foreign land, and you're like, I just got back. What happened? Well, then this is a news story for you. So basically, they tried to spin things when they first were asked to comment on it. The CEO tried to spin things in a tweet, and man, was that a fail. That was a fail among, we'll get into that in winning and losing too. But in general, here's why you don't want to spin things. Because people in 2017 are too smart for it. They are too smart for your garbage that sounds like marketing. You must be able to communicate to people directly, or don't. Everybody I've seen that tries to do a corporate communications spin job these days gets burned. You can hear the sound of them going down the trash compactor as they're doing it. People are too smart for your BS today is a good way to say it. And I know that's a direct way to say it. And people say, well, does that have to be so harsh? Yeah, it does. There's a lot of people who need to hear this. CEO of United Airlines really should have heard this. And if you surround yourself with a bunch of yes people that go, yes, sir, that looks great, sir, that looks great, you're not doing yourself any favors. You need people that are brave enough to tell the damn truth when it comes to doing this work. And, United Airlines didn't have those people. They issued 4 separate statements this week about this event. And their position changed in every single one of them, which completely and totally destroys your credibility as a communicator. So this has nothing to do with morals or ethics, even though we did talk about the public relations code of ethics. Lying, as I always have said, and I always do say, lying is bad for business. Being full of it is bad for business. In this case, United Airlines lost $1 billion. You feel like you have to do the little pinky thing up to your mouth with like Dr. Evil, go, we lost $1 billion this week because we were friggin' stupid. It's like, it has nothing to do with, whether this person's more moral or this person's more ethical or anything else. It has to do with you're not going to get away with it. They're too smart. You should know that. And right now you're listening to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Come on back. We're going to talk about United Airlines and the rest of who's winning and losing this week. See you in a few.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday, everybody. You are back with May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott, your host here in segment 2. Hey, I'm with Cedric, the mixer. Cedric, the rocker. What's up, Cedric?
Nothing much, Scott. Just enjoying your segment over here.
Good. What do you think of Spin, man? You've seen it. What do you think?
You know, I agree with you. There's a difference between spin and reframing, you know? Because I think there's definitely, like, as whatever it be, like, as an educated voter, a community member, or whatever, you always need to look at the other side. And in today's, like, marketing and today's articles that are being written, it is so one-sided. It's not, there's never, like, a critical analysis. It's just, I'm going to scream this opinion at you. We need this reframing. We definitely do. But the spin is just too, like United. Oh. You shouldn't be going into a guy's personal life and trying to spin it this way. Like, no.
Come on, man. Oh, I mean, they're just doubling down on stupid. Oh. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's like they do the stupidest thing, and then United Airlines is like, hey, here, hold my beer. Watch this.
Double down. Double down on 16. Let's go.
We're doubling down. Well, let's dig into winning and losing this week. Let's see who's winning and losing. So, you know, we got to start with United Airlines. Good Lord, are they losing? Every way that you can be losing, they're losing. And then add a lot to that after that. Awful. Absolutely awful. So, as I mentioned earlier in the first segment, they have issued 4 statements about the passengers' removal from the flight. 4. And it's been a week, just so you know. So the first statement was the introduction of the term, we had to reaccommodate these customers. The CEO said on Twitter, thank you, we apologize for having to reaccommodate these customers. Our team is moving with a sense of urgency to work with authorities and conduct our own detailed review of what happened. We're reaching out to this passenger to talk to him and further address and resolve this situation. This is a statement that was written by legal, just so we're all clear, you know, and if you're a public relations person, you'll be like, every public relations person I know goes, this was written by legal. Don't let legal write your stuff that you put out. They don't know how to communicate to your audience. That's not their skill set. I'm sorry. I got a lot of legal friends. They're not ever touching my communications. They are not schooled in the right way to do this stuff. They are schooled in other stuff, which they do exceptionally well. But stay out of. And if you're a lawyer out there, let's say you're a lawyer friend of mine and you're listening to this, get yourself some communications counsel before you write something stupid like this and have the CEO say it. Seriously. Reaccommodate these customers. I wrote a blog post earlier this week. You know, what the CEO should have said was this. I watched in horror as I saw my company do this. I was absolutely ridiculously, you know, ashamed and embarrassed and horrified that this could be an organization that I am supposed to quote unquote lead. And then I would say some people in Chicago clearly acted unilaterally, and those people are going to be on the receiving end of my foot by the time I hit send on this. That's a leader, right? You need to say those people are fired with a capital every single freaking letter. You know, I don't know what that was, but you need to respond with the amount of horror that the rest of us saw watching every other passenger on your airline film the dude being dragged down the aisles, right? So that's what you should say. If you're a CEO and a leader, and the legal's not going to let you send that, by the way. They're going to say, well, we can't admit that we did anything wrong because then we might lose in the small courtroom. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I get that. But talk like a person. Don't say things like we had to reaccommodate this customer. We all saw the video, moron. You know, seriously. Well, I mean, don't act like the rest of us didn't see the video. That's the thing that when people do these corporate communications type of statements like this, it insults everyone's intelligence. The anger that you feel is like, you think we're that stupid? You know, it's like, and then it just adds to the fury. Then the second statement that he sent out was basically to his team members, you know, saying that we applaud the people who took because the passenger was belligerent and not cooperating and this kind of stuff. BS. We all saw the video. The dude doesn't want to leave the plane. You know, I mean, we all saw it. It's like, don't act like we didn't see it. And then the next one, he finally used my word, horrific. The truly horrific event that occurred on the flight has elicited many responses from all of us: anger, outrage, anger, disappointment. I share all those sentiments 3 days later, although I didn't share them on Monday when legal wrote my statement. I want you to know we take full responsibility and we will work to make it right. Wrong. As a leader, what you need to say is a bunch of people interpreted the rules wrong, acted unilaterally, and they are what I like to call fired right now. You know, I mean, because clearly that's what happened. So, you know, you got to say that, you know, and obviously the overbooking situation is a much bigger issue, but, you know, obviously some people were out, you know, acting on their own out there. And then the fourth statement was posted on the company's website Thursday. We continue now we're sorry. We're sorry now. We continue to express our sincerest apology to Dr. Dow. We cannot stress enough we remain steadfast in our commitment to make this right. Now that Mr. Dow, by the way, has now retained counsel, has now started to do interviews, has now become sort of the poster child for what morons you are at United Airlines. And by the way, you've lost $1 billion in value of the company in this whole situation. This horrible situation has provided a harsh learning experience from which we'll take immediate, concrete action. We're committed to our customers and our employees to fix what's broken so this never happens again. So this is what I want to walk you through. First statement, we're sorry we had to reaccommodate the passengers. Everybody go about your business. The second statement, we applaud our employees. Man, did they do a bang-up job. I can't wait to see you at the picnic. We're going to high-five our butts off. It's going to be great. I'm excited. The third statement was, I get that we screwed up now. I understand that we made a big mistake. And then the fourth one is, man, we're so sorry to Dr. Dow. We do not want to be sued. We obviously handled this, very much incorrectly. We created a huge crisis communication situation for our airline. My job's in jeopardy. The boards and everybody's hammering Pepto-Bismol like it's out of like it's sweet tarts around this joint, and that's the situation that we're in, right? You shouldn't need four statements. You shouldn't need four statements to talk about this. You should have one statement, and it should be a statement that is, you reacting in horror and firing people publicly, or dragging them out of the United Airlines building. That's what I'm thinking, at least. Again, I understand that, legal got their hands on this kind of first and said, we don't want to do this. So a couple people asked me, well, Scott, that's the negative stuff. How would you handle it? How does this be positive? Here's how I would have handled it, by the way. And United Airlines needs a big lesson in this, by the way. First of all, the core root cause of this whole thing is the fact that you oversold a flight. is that you oversold a flight. You were trying to get your 4 staff members in there. You had to reaccommodate some customers to do it. It all seemed like the right idea for you guys to do that. Here's the thing. You are an airline. You own nothing but a huge fleet of jets. That's what you do. That's your stuff. When you look at your assets, you got a bunch of people, but your big assets have wings and big old engines strapped to them. You own nothing but planes. So why wouldn't you, since you own a buttload of planes, why wouldn't you retask one of those mini planes? Could be a small one, could be a helicopter, could be a glider, who cares? Bottom line is, you put those 4 people on a plane by themselves and you fly their butts to Louisville, right? This situation never happens in that situation, right? Oh, it'd be expensive to retask an aircraft and get the FAA approval, and it'd be very expensive to have to do this. Would it be $1 billion expensive? Would it? Would it be $1 billion? Would it? How does your week go differently if you made the right aircraft tasking decision on Sunday? Right? There is no substitute for good decision making and intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. There is no substitute for thinking crap through and having a brain in your head. We're going to put United in losing. I think we can all agree. Let's move on. Oh, before we move on to United, you're not going to believe this one, but United has another situation. On a Mexico flight, a scorpion fell out of the overhead and stung a dude on the head. Straight up, this is true. So following the backlash of this whole nightmare, and then that follows, by the way, the leggings situation that we talked about a few weeks ago. A man on flight 1418 from Houston to Calgary was stung by a scorpion after it fell on his head. Yes, it fell on his head. Insert your Samuel L. Jackson, we don't need scorpions on this plane joke right there. That's where that goes. But, so Richard is the passenger. Richard and Linda Bell were returning from vacation in Mexico when a scorpion fell on the head. And then he was horrified come on. And then he threw it down on his table, and then it stung him, basically. At least it didn't sting him on the head, which is kind of what I thought. But wow, United, lots of problems. Lots of problems. And honestly, we're done talking about it now. But the biggest problem that you had, United, was that you didn't do things in an intelligent fashion. The second biggest thing is that you tried to spin people and they're too smart for it. So in conclusion, let's not ever do that kind of stuff if you survive this whole thing. Hey, the happiest person in the world that United had this problem was Pepsi. Because before that, Pepsi had to put out a controversial ad that featured Kendall Jenner, of the Kardashian fame. And if you haven't seen the ad, it's basically, a lot of people protesting, in line protesting and stuff. And then Kendall Jenner walks through the crowd and she hands a Pepsi to one of the police officers that is, keeping the peace, during the protest and everything. Yeah. So they got heat on top of heat on top of heat, saying that you're glorifying protesters and that blah, blah, blah. But I did want to say this, that Adweek did a story on this. There was a survey afterwards that found that about 44% of people had a more favorable view of Pepsi after watching the ad, and only 25% had a less favorable view. So this is interesting. So the data says that 44% of people kind of liked the ad, 44% of those people, and 25% didn't really like the ad so much. They pulled the ad. They apologized for the ad. They did all this kind of thing. By the way, Kendall Jenner didn't do so well. Most people didn't like her in the ad. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? But it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because they find themselves in crisis mode. They back out of it. They apologize, everything else. And turns out not as many people really thought the ad was bad, and lots of people thought the ad was pretty good. So anyway, we're going to put that in. We're going to put in losing still, because it really was, but losing because they pulled out of the ad and they probably could have had a decent ad on their hands. Let's talk about influencer marketing and creepiness that's going on there. So Amazon had this idea that they're going to do these daily Oprah Winfrey quotes that kind of come through your Amazon Alexa. So once per day, Alexa users can now have access to a direct inspirational quote from Oprah Winfrey's 2014 book, What I Know for Sure. So a lot of people are saying, well, this is the next thing in influencer marketing, is that you'll be able to hear influential quotes from people, endorsing products and things like this into your Alexa. I'd look for the demand numbers on that. I'm not sure how many people really want to hear daily from Oprah about her inspirational quotes or whatever, or anyone, in your Alexa. You have Alexa, so it like answers questions, it orders things from Amazon for you. It does all those things that we know kind of Alexa can do. But are you really looking to it and go, hey, Alexa, play me something stupid from Oprah Winfrey today? And then it's like, Harold, you should go out and hang in there. It's like from Oprah Winfrey. It's like, I don't know about that. A lot of people are talking about this and saying, oh, this could be a new thing for influencer marketing. See, marketers think that every time there's a new way for a machine to talk, it's a new way to push you a message. But that's really dumb, as we talked about many times on this show, because people don't want that, maybe. And that should be considered. I'm going to put that into losing, because we don't want Alexa getting creepier than she already is anyway. Let's talk about something that's winning. Aaron Hernandez is winning. The jury acquitted Aaron Hernandez, former tight end for the New England Patriots, of murder charges today. Today they cleared Aaron Hernandez of committing a double murder in 2012. Which hands the former New England Patriots star his first significant legal victory since his shocking arrest for the slaying in June 2013. He's already serving a life term without parole for that killing. So anyway, the jury has acquitted Aaron Hernandez. I think you got to put him in winning. I don't know if there's going to be riots or if anybody's going to riot about his getting off for murder. I thought that they had surveillance video of him like holding the gun and shooting the guy. But apparently they just had surveillance footage of him like with his hands on the gun, and that wasn't enough. It was circumstantial or what have you. So we're going to put that, I guess you have to put that in winning, because it's literally a win. I think we're all going to be winning on April 18th, by the way, because a brand new Google Earth is going to arrive. Google is going to do a pre-Earth Day event in New York City next week. And they are going to show a brand new experience for Google Earth. Ooh, so it's probably going to be some kind of virtual reality, crazy Google. I mean, Google Earth is crazy, creepy, and invasive as it is right now. But can you imagine what like the virtual reality version of this bad boy is going to be next week? I'm sure we'll be covering it on the show next week in any case. But got to put that in winning probably. I don't know. Let's put it in winning for now. Because we haven't seen it yet, and hopefully it's not like you can see what everybody's doing at any given moment at any point on the Earth, because that's not a good way to use Google Earth, I would say. And that is who is winning and who is losing this week, ladies and gentlemen. Come on back in segment 3, and I'm going to give you some spin-free crisis public relations tips. You're going to want to write those down probably. Right now, you're listening to May the Best Brand Win on Air Talk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in
This is
every
Jackie
Wednesday
Bertoni
at
from
2 p.m.
Jackie's Groove.
Pacific Standard
Come join me
Time.
weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. You are wisely back with May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott. I'm back. We're talking about, we just talked about winning and losing. I'm here with Cedric. Cedric, you out there? How's it going?
It's going all right, Scott. I'm actually surprised you didn't talk about the U.S. government losing this week, man.
Oh, well, hit me with that. What happened there?
The press secretary made some, I think he made some comments about the Syrian chemical gas.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Spicer. Yep, Spicer.
Yep.
Come on. Oh, man.
Talk about doubling down on stupid.
That is a double down. That is. That definitely could have made it into losing. I dominated the show with a little bit too much United Airlines probably, but
United screwed up big time. There's a lot of losers this week, you know.
A lot of losers. It's hard. Sometimes it's harder to find the winners. I was like, it's sad when I had to use like Aaron Hernandez as like the winner. That's the winner this week, folks. It was that kind of week. Technically. Yeah, that's funny about Spicer. You know, I've done that role before where you have to stand up there and give, brief, not at that level, but, where you've had to, you have to give those kind of briefings. And it's always kind of interesting. You just want to stick to the facts, man. You don't want to try to be too cute with it. And, you're there as kind of a facilitator of what everybody needs to do on their beat, but especially at that level. But man, that was kind of a dumb thing. Spicer says a lot of dumb things, to be honest, when trying to, figure out what he's going to say next, I guess. We'll do a whole show on that. We could probably just dig on that. But hey, we're talking about spin today. Spin. And before I go too far, I'm going to give you some spin-free crisis PR tips, by the way. Folks ask me if I do a crisis PR. Yeah, of course I do. I'm very proud of the fact that most of my clients don't ever have to engage in crisis PR because, they have me and hopefully between all of us, we do things that are smart enough that they don't land us in crisis waters. But it comes up for everybody at times. There are certainly people in my profession who make a living just dealing with people's crisis situations. I find that leads you to a lot of clients who do a lot of stupid things, and then have a bunch of stupid clients. And no offense, and people are like, "Whoa, Scott, aren't you the agency? You shouldn't really be calling the clients stupid." I do if they're stupid. It's like, obviously, there's not enough of us doing that, but absolutely I do. I could say that nicer, to be honest. You didn't make the correct, decision this time, but, we're on the radio. I'm trying to get it done quickly here. So, and let's be honest, and the truth shall set you free. That's what I say. Before we get too far into those crisis PR tips, I want to turn you onto a website that's I call this show Spin Sucks, but it's based on, there's a great website, spinsucks.com. that is called Professional Development for PR and Marketing Pros. And they are very much in the same bucket that this show is about, which is trying to improve public relations and marketing sort of one situation at a time. And I love Spin Sucks. I think it is fantastic. There's always good stuff to learn. For folks, there are great articles on there. They've done their own analysis of United Airlines. One person says that it's really important to has an article up there that says when a crisis means it's time to fire the client. And if you're outside of the agency side of things, you might say, do agencies ever fire clients? Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. I have before. We're in a relationship business, right? So it's not like you rejoice and get excited about having to fire them. But if a client is doing a lot of bad things, remember the everything counts rule of branding. Everybody you represent counts too. So if you get a reputation for representing a lot of people who are playing fast and loose with ethics, then you're right down there in the dirt with Edward Bernays and P.T. Barnum and the rest of the crowd there at the evolution of the PR profession. And I like to think that we can do a little better than that, to be honest. So I have fired clients. I had to fire one client when I was with an agency because they were just creepy, and they kept and one of my staff members came to me and said, "Hey, I have to work on site with this person, and he's really making some creepy advances towards me." This female staff member, and the client was a male. So I went and spoke to him, kind of man to man first, and I said, "Hey, you can't be doing this." I said, it's gonna cause a problem. I said, you're gonna cause a problem for my company. We're gonna be in a sexual harassment lawsuit together. I said, that's gonna be a crisis. It's gonna cost your company thousands of dollars. We're gonna all be in this together when she sues us, which is coming next. Just so you know. So we're all super clear on that. And then for some reason, that client decided that he wasn't doing anything wrong and that it was her problem and that he was gonna punish her in some ways. People are stupid. And so I had to fire them, absolutely, because I protect my teammates, and I'm not going to have some creepy client doing something that makes them uncomfortable. And people at that time said, "Well, you shouldn't be firing this client because it represents a big portion of your revenue." I'm like, you know what? We can replace the revenue. We're not going to replace our team members, and we're not going to put them in a position to do something uncomfortable, because that is, what's that word I'm searching for? Oh yeah, wrong. You know that word, that little light that goes on and go, this might be wrong, use it. Use it. It's a real human thing. Get in touch with your humanity. There is an important role for right and wrong in this world. And, it's just, so we resigned that client, which was controversial at the time, by the way. But just so you know, so I can tell you how the fairy tale ends, is that we fired that client and we replaced that revenue with more than 3 times the amount of that client, with better clients, because when you work for better clients, you attract better clients. Just so you know, you're never gonna if you feel like it's wrong, if you feel like you're working for a client that wants to do disingenuous stuff, it's going to be to your advantage to hit the eject button and reaccommodate them out of the plane just as soon as you can. Let's talk about spin-free crisis PR tips, shall we? Number 1, as will be no surprise, tell the truth. Always. Make sure everyone else in the organization does too. Again, we are in the long-term relationship business here. We are not about this news cycle. We are not about this sales cycle. We are about the continuing long-term positive relationships for the brand. And because of that, the best way that we can get what we want is to tell the truth. Now, if legal doesn't want you to do that, because it will impede their ability to be able to kind of, do their job and win, then we're going to have a conversation, because, we're going to have a conversation. We have to come to some kind of a compromise as to what we can say, but we're not going to compromise on the truth. We will compromise on, what it takes for them to do their job and that kind of thing. And we may need to make some concessions and say, okay, well, it limits our ability to win in the small courtroom, which I'm going to talk about a little later in the tips, by the way. But tell the truth. It feels better. You sleep better at night. You know, you're building relationships. You know, you don't get many chances to build relationships. United Airlines has a big problem on its hands. Really, really big. Really big. Just like Samsung and everybody else that disappoints people. You know, if you're a brand that disappoints people, they're not going to forget you. Every story about you is going to start like this. United Airlines, who had 3 crisis situations, one involving a frickin' scorpion last month, said this, boom, boom, boom. All of your investor stuff is going to say that. All of your shareholder and your stakeholder stuff is going to say that. All of your stuff is going to lead with your lies. You know, don't have 4 statements to clarify your position. No. One statement. Initial statement, and then just keep referring to that. We're still horrified. Oh my God. We couldn't be more horrified. You know, things like that. Make sure everybody sticks to the playbook too, especially in terms of a crisis. You know, it's really, really important that you have somebody running quarterback on this stuff. That's where somebody like a senior communications person can really come, in handy to make sure that everybody that's speaking to the press, to all the stakeholders and everything is saying the same thing the same way. Make sure everybody sees it the same way and is saying it the same way. Very, very important. Tip number 2. Respond quickly, but man, think it through before you speak, before you tweet, before you do anything else. I understand that there is a sense of urgency to get things done, in today's world. And, but this situation happened with United, happened last Sunday night, and the CEO statement came out on Monday. So he had a good long time to respond and really think things through before you speak. It's real important. I can't begin to say that, when your company has done something bad, when you're in a crisis situation, you want to be at your most transparent, your most truthful, your most helpful, your most responsive, your most everything that you would always be during the business world. It's critically important to do that. And it's critically important to think it all the way through. Sit in a room. I do exercises with my clients, and I say, let's think this all the way through. When we say this, what is likely to happen? What is likely to happen? And are we comfortable with that result? Is that going to be something that we're going to be comfortable with? What are we going to do when that happens? That kind of thing. It's that kind of planning that I think is sort of absent from some of our very largest companies today, as evident right here, by the way. And again, just in the case of the Pepsi situation, just to go back, they retracted really quickly, right? Because they were afraid of the backlash and what it could grow into and those kind of things. Which is sort of what the people who were outraged by the ad were counting on. They say if we make a big enough stink quickly enough, then we can get the ad pulled and we can get them to crumble and say how bad they are and that sort of thing. I will always say that, you should respond quickly. But in the case of Pepsi for a second, that wasn't the first time that they, as management, saw the ad. Surely they knew what they were getting into, and then they folded really quickly. So that makes me think that they are spineless. I think when I think to myself, I'm like, so you had a position, you were trying to make a statement, and now you're just spineless because now you can't even make your own position. And again, this was the position that you chose to make. There were storyboards, there were memos, there were discussions. It took a long time to shoot that ad. You had to bring in Kendall Jenner on the thing, which I'm sure was just asinine conversation after asinine conversation to try to make that whole project happen. And just imagine how much work that lead into this. And then when the ad hits and people are pissed about it, they're like, oh, well, we didn't know people would respond that way. It's like, what? Yeah, you did. So anyway, I just, not to get off on a huge tangent on Pepsi there for a second, but you want to think it all the way through. And if you do feel like you have a good position, you're going to say something controversial. There's nothing wrong with being controversial, but I would say have the guts to see it through and just say, no, this is our position. We think Pepsi does make a better world. This is the message that we're trying to put out there. You might not like it. That's on you. Go do something else. Something like that might even be, you might have more respect for a company that would do something like that is what I would say. Tip number 3. The R in PR is for relationships. Use the good ones you've built with journalists, especially in a crisis. One of the biggest reasons why it's important for us to always have good press relationships is when we do have a crisis, we have friendlies out there. We have folks out there that are in favor of what we've done in the past. We have helped them. We have worked with them on stories. We have positive relationships out there. We have goodwill, and we want to use that. We want to use that during this time, at least to, not that we're going to try to spin or we're going to try to lie or do anything else, but we're going to use it so that we can tell legitimately our side of the story. Even if our side of the story, is dumb and makes us look dumb. There's still, reporters still have a job to do to report on what happened, on the story. Really, really important to remember that the R in PR is for relationships. Tip number 4, follow up and help a lot. As I said, before, you need to be so responsive, and in a crisis, you want to follow up. You want to be so helpful. Everything that people need, you need to be giving it to them. One of the biggest complaints I hear from my friends in the media is a crisis happens, the company buttons up. They won't say anything because legal's in their ear going, you can't say anything. You can't admit we did anything wrong, because if you admit we did something wrong, then we're going to look bad, and we're going to lose, and we're going to lose a bunch of money, whatever. Trust me, be at your most transparent in this moment. This is where your company character is built, right here, right now. This is important. You must be able to help people get what they need. Don't be one of those people that retreats back in the back cave and shuts the door behind you, right? You're not those people. You want to be the people that says, "Hey, this is the information we know. We're doing daily press briefings. This is going on, in this crisis. We're going to help you get all the information that you can get. We're going to open up. We're going to have as open as we can be. We're going to do that, and we're going to help the media a lot. That's how you win friends and influence people." Because, by the way, and I will share with you, as I've shared in many boardrooms before, you know what happens if you button up and don't say anything? Where do the reporters get the information that they are going to use for the story? Where would you imagine they would get it? If you guessed walking around downstairs with all the people that are pissed off at your company and interviewing them about what idiots you are, then you guessed correctly. That is who they're going to choose. And you're going to be busted at that point. Don't do that. Number 5, you want to keep legal happy in the small courtroom, the one where they need to win, but don't forget about the big one, public opinion, where the brand rests, all these kind of things. Don't release a statement that legal says you can release because they can win the small courtroom. You know what? You got insurance to protect you from the small courtroom. You can deal with the small courtroom. But if you lose in the big courtroom, it's going to be billions of dollars. It's going to be billions of dollars. It's going to make those legal bills look tiny when it's over. If your company survives, if it survives. Plenty of companies can survive about in the small courtroom. Very few can lose in the big courtroom and survive. Spin created a profession down in the dirt once upon a time. And from that time, some of us have stayed down there and some of us have tried to practice at a much higher level. I encourage everyone listening to embrace the light side of PR. The part where we educate, where we entertain, where we move conversations forward instead of the part where we choose to hide the truth and be full of it so that we don't even know the difference anymore. Public relations can be better, and I think we must. That's it for me, marketing fans. Until next week, this has been Scott Robertson, host of May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. Have a great Easter weekend, and we'll see you back next week with a brand new show. See ya.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?